Alrighty. So we got some real crazy stuff going on. Alberta still believes in transitioning them kids. Well, not all of Alberta, just a few of them actually. Most of Albertans don't. But yeah, let's listen. Let's listen. My recording didn't go so well, so this is totally pre-watched. I'll let you know. But yeah.
Alberta's premier says her government will keep fighting for its controversial transgender laws after a court issued a temporary injunction late Friday. The move blocks the province's ban on gender affirming care for minors and comes at a time when U.S. courts have been ruling in a very different way.
Because the U.S. courts are based it off of evidence, not emotion.
Heather Yurex West explains.
With the health and future of her transgender daughter in mind, Kim Large says a recent Alberta court decision has come as a huge relief.
My daughter and kids like my daughter see that what the province and what the government is trying to do is wrong, and that there are legal processes that are trying to protect them, trying to do what's right.
A judge.
So, unfortunately, while I get that she's just trying to protect her kid, what they're doing isn't wrong. Unfortunately, the whole transitioning kids thing is what's wrong. And I'll pull up a couple reasons why here, as long as I didn't just actually close it. First one will be here. So this is Eric Erickson's psychological stages, right? So these are psychosocial stages, sorry. These are pretty much the stages of our development, you know? Rose a lifespan model of development, emphasizing how social relationships shape our sense of self. He suggests that we pass through 8 stages, each marked by a central conflict or psychosocial crisis that must be resolved for healthy personality growth. Now, this isn't just related to personality because honestly, like your brains take time to develop, the brains take time to grow. They develop synapses. You go through a thing called puberty, which gives you hormones and changes a lot for you as well. And yeah, that's why we have all of these, which you'll notice that these are kind of at the stages and times when these happen. Look at this school age. This is prepubescent adolescence. This is puberty. These are actually our common terms for these as well. Early adulthood, these are all very common terms. These are the terms that we use, and why? Because, well, this is generally what stages we're going through. So, generally, when we're talking about this, actually, always when we're talking about this, we are talking about the adolescence and the school age. So, pretty much, yeah, industry versus inferiority, develop self confidence with abilities when they are competent, or a sense of inferiority when they are not competent. Yeah, so that's gonna develop a lot. You know, if you are, say, a female and you see a male who is strong and competent, then you are going to wonder why the females in your life are not that. If you do not have females around there, just like if you are a male who sees nothing but strong females and nothing but the quote unquote weak men who are around, then you're going to strive towards that just naturally. You know, this is the time when children start to weigh how their life has been shown within the family unit versus outside of the family unit because we're now in school, so we're able to test the like boundaries that our parents have taught us with the things that we learn from other people. And then during the 12 to 18, the identity versus confusion, experiment and develop identity and roles. So this is where we start developing this, not finish developing this. This is the start. This is why we do not give children hormone blockers for something called gender affirming care because that is affecting their sex. And sex and gender are different things. Gender is a social construct based on the roles that we've assigned people based on their sex. That dates way back to days of pre like suffrage and a whole bunch of stuff. So, now let's continue on in the video because this mother clearly wants to do what's best for her kids, but we are dealing with children, and children had what is it, overdeveloped amygdalas, underdeveloped frontal lobes, meaning that they are very emotional creatures and they don't think long term. They don't think about this. This is why we don't just let them drink and make all these long term decisions for themselves, and why they have parents, and why parents make a lot of these decisions for them. And generally, when kids are doing things that are bad, we generally look at the parents and blame the parents for these things because, well, it's supposed to be the parents who are guiding them, being that frontal lobe and knowing the emotions of their child.
Friday that because
But clearly, they do not.
Alberta's law banning gender-affirming medical care for minors could cause irreparable harm to gender-diverse youth, it should be put on hold until the full constitutional challenge against the legislation can be heard in court, a process.
So basically, they want to just delay what's right for their own personal beliefs. They want to delay the healthy, natural development of children for their own personal beliefs about gender. Because once again, they're all about gender. They're not about like sex, but they want to change the sex of children to affirm their gender.
That is expected to take some time.
You are taking lives from us.
In the United States, a similar legal fight went all the way to the Supreme Court, where, in a 6-3 decision, the top court upheld the state of Tennessee's ban on puberty blockers and other gender-affirming therapies for minors. Since then, the court has thrown out state-level rulings in favor of transgender youth, ordering judges in Idaho, North Carolina, Oklahoma, and West Virginia to reconsider cases allowing access to transgender medical care.
There's always, I think, an idea that we'll.
And that's the problem. It's not just like talking about things, exploring the concepts of gender, exploring the ideas of multiple genders and what gender means, and how we can express this and how we can like feel fluid and comfortable in our bodies. It's specifically about medical transitioning. Because if we were just having conversations and we were just talking about like development and growth and this and that and how, you know, yes, back in the day there was this and yada yada yada, that's fine, because these are conversations and I believe they're good conversations and healthy conversations to be having. But once again, we're not talking about conversations. We're talking about medical. We're talking about like big time things at times. But yeah, people are developing, and we should not be kind of affecting the medical unless there is a need, not a desire, a need. And no, the parents saying that their 11-year-old says that they're a boy when they were born a girl is not a need. That is a desire, and that is a parent who should talk about the feelings, why they're feeling that, and not just go with it. Alrighty, the maturation of the adolescent brain. All right, National Library of Medicine. PubMed Central, whatever that is. Here we go. These are a whole bunch of the people who worked on it, little citations, author notes, article notes, copyright license information, a whole bunch of the information, the abstract. Adolescence is a developmental epoch during which children become adults, intellectually, physically, hormonally, and socially. Once again, we should not be making them adults when they are not adults. We need to let them grow into the adults healthily. Adolescence is a tumultuous time, full of changes, transformations. The pubertal transition to adulthood involves both gonadal and behavioral maturation. Magnetic resonance, imaging studies have discovered that, wow, okay, these are a lot of bigger than my pay grade and brain words, but basically the long story short of it is children are growing. We should not medically interfere with that. Once again, you can see right here, there's the link right there, right up in the top. You can grab it, you can look at it yourself. You could take it with my other information about like the psychosocial developmental stages from Erik Erikson. No, that the brain grows. This is a no-brainer thing. That's why in the States they're just going and they're turning around and they're just putting an end to it. Because people are not talking about gender. They're talking about using sex changes and medical sex changes on children, and that's not protecting children. That's harming children. Let's see what Eric Adams here, University of Alberta law professor, says.
Move in lockstep with the United States, but on these
Yeah,
issues,
of course.
our constitutional traditions.
We always do stuff with the States. It's always like whatever the United States does, 4 years later Canada will do.
And our judicial structures are just so different. I think it's hard to reach for comparisons.
On a Chorus radio call-in show Saturday,
Which is fair.
Danielle Smith says her government is prepared for a long legal fight.
We actually think that we've got a very solid case. We think we've been measured. We think we've been evidence-based.
Yeah, and it's not that hard to find the evidence. Like, it's pretty much there. Like, that entire thing at the front with the mother was that, it was an emotional call-out where she's trying to do what her daughter feels is right, and Like, she's a kid. She hasn't lived that long. Like, come on.
And we think we're on the side of kids.
Yeah.
So we want to see how
If you oppose it, you're on the side of kids. You don't not medical for children.
process will play out, but we think it's really important for these issues to be debated in court.
Yep, debated and solved.
Like Kim's in limbo for potentially years to come. Heather Yurex West, Global News, Calgary.
Yeah, and you know what? They are human, and transitioning isn't going to change that, and not transitioning isn't going to change that. But you know what? Like, yeah, that's the emotional rhetoric that people are trying to push, and that's parents putting them through that. Like, I gotta take a second, and I gotta think, like, what is the parent doing to make their child feel comfortable within their own body instead of pushing for this? And what is the parent doing to not explore this? Like, instead of just saying, yes, you were in the wrong body and we're going to fight in court for this, because if not, the typical rhetoric, the rhetoric around this is, it's better to have a trans child than a dead child. Like, your child is immediately going to unalive themselves if they don't transition. And thankfully, I do believe a lot of that rhetoric has gone away, but like, these are the final vestiges of it, and these are the things that need to stop. So I do hope it gets taken to court, because, like I said, that took all of a few seconds to look up, and yeah, it's not very hard. So yeah, for all those who are important, for all those who care, and if it is important, I'm Weeb Hunter. If you enjoyed the video, please give me a like, follow, and subscribe. And yeah, if you'd like to hear me talk more of this, give me a comment. Yeah, I'm out. Bye.